of the day, Miss Anshul Malhotra. Miss Anshul Malhotra is a really special person with a very interesting relationship with NIFT already. Our center, as you're aware, is in Himachal Pradesh, and as a part of what we do on this center, sustainability and craftsmanship is very important to us. So, Ms. Anshul Malhotra has actually executed 5 government projects with the DIC Kullu for rural weavers development in the Kullu Valley. She has also been invited by the Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, at PM House for interactions. She is the holder of the Himachal State Government Award in 2006 for designing the ring pass Pashmina shawl by handloom weaving, and this was given to her by the Honorable Chief Minister of Himachal Pradesh. She has received the Kalamani Award in 2015 in the International Suraj Kund Fair in Haryana for her shawl designs in handloom weaving, and this was also awarded to her by the Honorable Chief Minister of Haryana. She has represented her company, Krishna Wool, in Moscow, Russia, in the exhibition that was sponsored by NSIC Ludhiana. She's been appreciated by the Ambassador of India in Moscow for the handloom designs. She's participated in several international fairs like the Slovenia International Exhibition. She's qualified. Am I audible? I don't think so. The Kullu cluster. Thank you. So, we are really thrilled to have you here with us today, ma'am. May I please request you to address the audience?
Thank you, Priti ma'am. Thank you for the introduction. A very good afternoon, everyone. Respected Director, Sir, NIFT Kangra, and all the dignitaries present on the dais. Is it audible to you?
Yes.
I'll try it.
Slideshow.
I require that. It's not audible, that's one. Okay, today which is on the handloom, Indian handloom and handicraft, sustaining culture heritage. The challenges faced by artisans and their solution. Second would be the sustaining the legacy of the craft. Third will be the product development and designs. And fourth will be the market expansion, whether it's nationally or globally. First, it's always said handloom textile. So everyone here has a question in the mind, why we have to study the handloom textiles? For which many years ago, I wrote a quote which says, if you give food or money to a person, it will make his day for one day. But if you provide that person skill, it will give him opportunity to learn for the lifetime. So I'll introduce myself. I'm a textile engineer. I did my textile engineering in 2005 from the TIT Institute of Textiles and Science, Bhiwani, in 2005. And after that, I joined JNGC Engineering College as a lecturer. And after that, I joined my family business. I have my unit in Mandi industrial area, and we are working on the natural Yak Wool shawls and stoles, which covers the traditional handloom weaves of Himachal. And now I'm into the conservation and revival of traditional textiles. And look for that. I have given around the free handloom training courses to 200 women artisans of the Mandi region and the tribal region and the Kenori region. And for that, I have been awarded by the President of India, the Nari Shakti Puruskar, which happens every year. And this award is for all the women around India which are doing some extra work in their sectors. I tell you a very small incident which happened in Modi ji's house. We were being invited in Modi ji's house on 7th March, which was one day prior to International Women's Day. बहुत सारी ladies थी वहाँ पे, and everybody was from this state or that state. Somebody was saying, I am from Bihar, I am from suppose Karnataka, or I am from Tamil Nadu. And when I said, I am Anshul Malhotra and I am from Himachal, तो जितने भी लोग वहाँ पे थे, they just indicated like this, we know. क्योंकि I was wearing a cap. This is what we carry. We carry our culture which represent our state, and when I travel internationally, just the attire or the tradition tell, oh, you are from India. So if I say globally, when we have our attire or the costume what we are doing, or the traditional handicraft, which is being explored in the world by our ancestors, we just have to take and bridge so that this legacy is not lost somewhere. Moving on to the next slide. What are the challenges or the limitations faced by the people or the weavers nationally? So first is the old technologies and the new design intervention. As you all know, in India, or if I talk about Himachal or all India, after agriculture, the handicraft sector provides the livelihood to the artisans. This is the second profession by which people earn their livelihood. And Himachal, by the grace of God, because of the hills, we have huge number of tourists everywhere. So we have the potential to explore our products nationally and internationally because of the tourists which are visiting Himachal every year. So if I talk about the problems which our handloom sector facing, it's the old technology and no design interventions, unorganized production system, which means we have to have the raw material somewhere, then the yarn processing or the manufacturing is at some other place, and the weaving is at another place. Low productivity because of the handloom sector. And fourth one is inadequate working capital. Conventional product range. We have the limited product range in which we can explore the market, and we have weak marketing links because many Himachali weavers are not able to sell their products online. So we are dependent on the other organizations like Mantra for our marketing links. Next is the overall stagnation of the production and the sale. So what are the solutions about the problems? Actually, if I talk about government initiative, government is taking huge number of initiatives. Like if I can say that even the NIFT Kangra has gained, because of NIFT Kangra also our products, the traditional textiles are being documented by the students, if you see. And also the government is taking many initiatives to take and to exhibit all these traditional products nationally and internationally, like many organizations like Khadi or NSIC. So what are the raw materials? If I introduce about what Himachal is manufacturing, we have the raw materials in Yak Wool, sheep wool, pashmina, Angora Wool, and rabbit wool. And we use handloom and charkha to make all the products and the handloom products of Himachal. Now I talk about the shawls, stoles, gen shawls, tweeds, and the coats with the traditional designs. And as I talk about you, pashmina of Himachal is famous along with Angora. Angora is your rabbit wool, yak wool, merino wool, silk, Himalayan sheep wool, and Australian merino also. We have imported the wool initially, but now we are having in Himachal, we have our Australian merino. We just import the sheep and we just crossbred them, and we have our own wool in Himachal, which is very equivalent to the Australian merino. Now if I talk about the pashmina, pashmina is abstracted from the goat. It's called the pashmina goat, which is on the high altitude. So there are two types of fiber, the coarse and the rough. The coarse is the rough fiber and the fine one. We have to remove the coarse fiber and only the soft fiber is used to make the pashmina shawl. Pashmina is world famous because of its warmth, softness, and lightweight. And the main is the color. The color of the pashmina, it's like 3 to 4 colors. The most famous is the white and the beige one, which is actually very soft and of very high aesthetic value. If you see the photograph, these are the pashmina goats from which the pashmina is abstracted. And we just shear the wool and the coarse fiber is removed. And the shawls made out of them are high priced. These are the technical specification if you want to make the shawl. Next, I talk about the sheep wool shawls. We have two kind of wool in Himachal, which is local sheep wool, which is a bit coarse, and second is the Australian merino sheep wool. The Australian merino sheep wool is soft and very warm, and in the same way, local sheep wool is also very good, but only the fineness of local is less than the Australian merino. Next, I talk about the Angora wool. Angora wool is a very soft wool. If you see, you can see the sample. This is the Angora wool, and it is very soft, very warm. Only the problem with Angora wool is that it just fluff out from the fabric or the shawl. So we have just to technically blend it 50% with the wool or the sheep wool so that it don't fluff out. These are the technical specification. And there are like semi-Angora wool, plain Angora wool with the traditional borders, or it is also blended with silk wool, and we get the silk wool shawls out of it. Next, I talk about the yak wool. In yak wool also there are like two type of fiber, the coarse one and the soft one. The soft one is used to make the shawls, and the coarse one you can make the blankets out of it. Yak wool is world famous, and there are like huge market and potential for the yak wool. Reason behind, sheep wool is present in many countries, but yak wool, very less countries are having the yak wool. So from Himachal, huge yak wool shawls are exported and also sold out domestically and internationally. If you want to see the yak, this is the rabbit wool. You can check the softness of it. The only problem with the rabbit wool is it will come out and it fluff out. You have seen the shawls, there are like, there is some bubbling because of Angora wool. So technically we just blend it with the sheep wool. So we blend it with the sheep wool, and because 50% is the best ratio to blend it with. So the fibers, because the Angora wool has a short fiber length. Because of the short fiber, it will just come out on the abrasion or the multiple use. Now we talk about the yak wool. Yak wool, this is the original color of the yak wool. It's a very strong fiber and can be used roughly. The shawls made of yak wool, they can be used very roughly. And I'll show you one shawl out of yak wool. Ma'am, can you please assist me? This is the yak wool shawl. Now I'll compare two shawls with you. This is a yak wool shawl. Yeah. If I talk about the quality of the wool in this is yak wool shawl, and the borders, if you see, those are the pastel colors which we have developed years back, and nationally and internationally people are after this yak wool because yak wool is limited in less countries. And this is a Kenori shawl. This is a shawl from the region Kenori. It also has a GI tag for it, which is a geographical indication. If I tell about you Kenor, in Kenor, marriage don't happen without this shawl. So every bride has to wear this kind of shawl. So if we continue to make it, definitely it is having a huge potential market. And if I talk about the color combination, this is our traditional color combination. But suppose some people have these, they will definitely not going to buy it again. So for them, we designed this type of color combination. This is the pastel shades, and the colors we abstract is from the monasteries, the Tibetan monasteries or the old temple. So we just made the Color scheme, if you see, these are all the pastel and the down colors. So we just dwell these color, and you will be happy to know this kind of shawl has been taken by the museum people, this color combination and this. And the weaving time of this shawl is like 20 days, and this is around 1 month to 1.5 months weaving time on handloom. This is the reason many shawls have less production. And if I talk about the rabbit wool shawl, I'll just show you the samples initially. This is the rabbit wool shawl, and this is the original color. There is no dye on the base, only the borders has the dye, which is azo-free again, and this is again organic. The base is natural, and it is very soft. It is 50% blended with the sheep wool. If I talk about the warp is sheep, and the weft we insert is Angora wool plus sheep wool, the blend of two, so that there will be no fluffing after the multiple or the abrasion. Nothing will happen to that shawl. If I talk about the weaving time of both these are all handmade. In this, the more time is because of the borders. In this is abstracted from a very old book, the color combination we abstracted, and it is asked by a customer to make the full shawl. And you will all be happy to know, this is a new information, that government has a scheme that all the shawls they'll buy for the like state guest or the national gift, they will be all handcrafted, no machine. And there is a committee formed that they'll buy the exclusive shawls which are rarely made. And it's a surprise to know very few weavers are there who just make these kind of shawl. This they'll make, but this one, because the main problem I tell you about the challenges, but when I go in the fields and talk about, no new generation wants to make this kind of shawl. They are more happy to work on like phone. The weaver kids, it's actually, we say that when we make this shawl, this is called a meditation. And if I talk about, there are only old weavers who are making this. They are not able to pass this legacy to their, next generation, because they don't want to concentrate to make this. So they're happy to make this kind of shawl. But when we talk about the traditional, which, we are the masterpieces, these are the masterpieces. So I'll move to the next slide. Thank you for your assistance. I move to the next slide. There are like two kind of shawls. Again, I want to tell you, there are two types of shawls. According to the weaves, those are the Kenori shawls and the Kullu shawl. The Kullu shawls have the simple designs, and the Kenori shawl have the very specific designs and the color combination. These are the colors of the Kenori shawls, and these are the colors of the Kullu shawl. If you see, this is the difference between Kullu shawl and the Kenori shawl. This is the specific design of the Kenori shawl, which is again registered in the books also. And this, if you see, how you can differentiate between a Kenori and Kullu is, if you see the graph, we design it on a graph, the one color in space, density, in that there will be much more colors and more specific designs, okay? So there is a difference between Kullu and Kenori shawl. That one is a Kenori shawl, and the colors which being used in Kenori, they are abstracted from the, the red color is abstracted from the, which represent the sun, the green represent the greenery, the blue represent the water. So they use 5 or 6 colors, basically, which they were inspired, or the story theme was just the nature. In Kenori, if you see the color of the rose also, that is very surkh red, but a bright sa red hota hai. That's why they are using this. And the orange, if you all see, because when I joined this organization, my own organization, I was like, 80% of people will like that, and 100% people will like that. But there are people who are typically and clearly inclined to that they want a Kenori shawl. Because this fame has been gained by the ancestors. We just have to take the legacy on. Thank you. So this is a Kenori shawl, which I showed you also. This is a Dulhan Pattu. We call it the bridal shawl. Next is the third type of the product, which is Jen shawl or a meditation shawl, or internationally it's called throws. Throws are world famous. Throws have a huge potential market, which is in yak wool, it can be in sheep wool, it can be plain or traditional checks. If you see the slide, the check, this is again a traditional typical check. And the story behind this check, if you see, Japanese people say that this is their checks, in their old books, this kind of checks has been documented. But sad story of our Himachal or the Kenori region is we have never documented this kind of check. This is typical check. Japanese claim it's theirs. But when we sent to Japan, they said you have copied our design, but it's actually Kenori design. But again, we don't have the documentation proof of all this. Next product I'll talk about is tweed. Tweed is a fabric. I'll show you the fabric also. ये दोनों ले लेंगे please. ये भी ले लीजिए. Open कर दीजिए. This is a Kenori tweed. Tweed, if I talk about tweed, everybody will go to the Scotland, because Scottish tweed is world famous. Again, the sad story of our tribes. These tweeds, they are long back, like many generations back. But again, we have not documented it in the books that yes, tweed, or the local word is lang. The lang, which is again originated from the Himachal, from the tribes. But again, no documentation, no proof. Scottish people claim it too, that this is their designs. If we are making this for a Scottish designer, and he buy the fabric or the coat from us in 6,000, and he's selling it for 25,000. So you can see the, because of the name and fame, Scottish tweed is world famous. But again, Indian tweed, this is again the Kenori design. If you see the weave, and in this also, if you see the diamond weave, this is again, it's in our history. If you see the old coats, because when I collect the old coats, these all weaves are there. But again, no documentation, so no proof. Thank you. And yes, how tweeds are made. It's a woven fabric. First we make on handloom. We make it around 32 inches. Then we dip it into hot water, if you have heard about the felting. So we dip it into hot water, and because of the the wool property, it just shrinks down. So pores get closed down like this, and the tweed, which was initially, people made this, and it is world famous as hunter's tweed. Because when आप जंगल में जाते थे, कोई bush लग जाती थी, तो आपका वो कपड़ा फटता नहीं था. And hunters used to go there for like 5-6 days. And in the cold region, अगर बर्फ भी पड़ जाएगी, you just do that way, और वो penetrate नहीं होगी, because the pores has been closed down, क्योंकि हमने इसको hot water में डाल के felt कर दिया. So this is the actual tweeds. And the most famous designs are the herringbone, the plain, or the twill weaves. These are the, if you see the weaves and the design, these are the tweeds. And this is the technical specification, what weft we use it for making the tweeds. Next is, if I talk about the revival of these shawls, the first one photograph, if you see, is a yak wool. And in this, no shuttle has been used, because if you see, there is a vertical design, so no shuttle has been used. Next is the sheep wool, which is again the original color. Third is the Kenori. Fourth is again the traditional Kenori check. Now we have introduced some scripts also on the shawl. If you see the next shawl, this is the bright tone. I have showed you the sober tone. So we try to make both. We want to take the old legacy also together with us, and we are trying to make new designs. And there is a revival of these Kenori shawls. And if you see these two, these are the yak wool shawls, which I have showed you physically also. The Chile people, I have a customer in Chile, they used to say that these are their designs. So in world, many people just relate with those shawls. If you see the Kenori shawl, Africans say that this is the same color combination which is with them. So we can say the textiles or any art form has the relationship in the different parts of the world. This is claimed, this, if you see the color combination, this is claimed by the Chile people, and even the Russia people also say that this is their color combination story. So we developed them from our old temples and old books. This is again a Kenori shawl, and these are the Kenori scarves. If you see the photographs in between, these are the Kenori scarves, which again has a very huge name and fame. When I showed you this, the Kenori pattu, this is used for the bride, and this is the Kenori muffler. This is used by the groom in a marriage function. And these all are made on handlooms. And if you see these this is the new color story theme which we have used for our new creation. Also, we try to do some product range which is done by the hand spinning process. Hand spinners are actually the people living in the villages. They cannot come to the cities or they cannot come to the town. मैं आपको एक छोटी सी बात बताती हूँ. हम सब यहाँ बैठे हैं. We just lock our home and come here, है ना? We are all getting the funds from our job or financially. We all are sound. But a woman who is sitting in the tribes, they have the cow and they have the sheep, so they cannot leave their house. This is a very, very field story. They cannot leave the house. So if some organizations like our NIFT designers or the organization which are doing the hand spinning, they just give them the raw wool, they just spin that and they give the yarn back to us. So by that way, they are also financially sound. वो अपना घर लॉक करके कहीं भी नहीं जा सकते. So we have to provide the handloom. What we did, ये मेरे को बहुत साल पहले I felt like कि वो ladies घर से बाहर नहीं आ सकती. वो like 30 days में सिर्फ 10 days, 15 days ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में काम करने आती थी, द हैंड वीवर्स एंड द हैंड स्पिनर्स. सो हमने सोचा ये क्यों नहीं आते, तो वी क्वेश्चन दैम कि आप क्यों नहीं आते हो, इतनी छुट्टियाँ क्यों लेते हो. दे सेड मेरे घर में गाय है, मेरे घर में बच्चे हैं, मेरे घर में ओल्ड पेरेंट्स हैं. वी कैन नॉट लीव द हाउस बिकॉज देयर इज़ नो वन टू लुक आफ्टर देयर काउ. तो मेन क्राइटेरिया बच्चों से भी ऊपर उनकी काउ है कि वी हैव टू टेक केयर ऑफ द काउ. सो वट वी डिड द डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन प्रोसेस इन विच वट वी डिड, we took the handloom and gave it in their house only. कि आप इवनिंग में फ्री है, just weave it. And you will all be surprised to know, उनकी वजह से उनकी जो प्रोडक्शन निकल के आई, that was the best quality, without any error, because उनके ऊपर pressure नहीं था, that they have to leave their house. So next slide would be, this is the process line of the wool. First we have to do the shearing. First we procure the raw wool from the local shepherds and from the government organization. More the high altitude wool, more will be the better the quality, because of the more will be the fiber length of the fiber. So after that, we have the carding process, and before carding we have to wash it and clean it. After that we have the carding. This is our own organization. We have our own spinning and weaving unit. So spinning we do on the ring frame. Otherwise, we do hand spinning also. And after that, we have the designs, and on handlooms, we do the handloom weaving. This was a project which was initiated by the government. It was in the Banjar region, and 30 women were benefited by this design workshop which we had. And this is the warping machine which we install in the organization so that weaver has the whole idea of the weaving and along with the weaving preparation. This slide, if you see, on one side, these all are the weavers only. Like for 2 months, they were weavers, and the weavers only, they did a small kind of local fashion show, and that brings huge happiness to them. So I just request all the students present in the group that just try to interact with the weavers. You never know, one instance will be a lifelong memory for them. So just get connected with the weavers. So when we did this fashion show with them, they were so happy because they have seen the fashion show in the TV only. So they were very happy and interested to do this. Again, I tell about the hand spinners and the handloom weavers. So many organizations or the students should start their startups with the hand-spun fabric also, which will bring the livelihood to the people who are living on the hills or the tribal region. Now I'll talk about a program. This is an interior lifestyle award. I included this slide for the awareness that this interior lifestyle, this is an award which happens every year. So all the designers or the NIFT can participate in this show. In this, the theme was like we have to submit the designs. It happens every year, so just check on the Facebook or the details. Teachers are requested to just pass this because many can get award on this. So in this we have to send the designs. The team just randomly, and we were in the top 8. And in top 8, we were being called in Delhi to exhibit. And the theme for me and my team was the heritage. So we explored with the heritage and made a meditation room in which all the cushion, curtains, everything was made on handlooms, the traditional handicraft. And because of that, if you have heard about the hem textile, which happens in Germany, so German government took us to hem textile, and we got award, first award on that, the hem textiles, and the whole trip and the fair was sponsored by the Germany government. So there we meet the textile minister, the former textile minister, and we exhibited all the organic shawls and the traditional culture there. We have been exhibited in around 12 countries all over the world, and we are taking all these traditional handicraft and handloom to the world. Even in the Nepal, which is full of pashmina, but again the Prime Minister of Nepal, he appreciated our products which are organic and had no chemicals in that. Now I'll talk about the dyeing of the textile. You all must be aware that the textiles which are being dyed, before 19th century, we all were dyeing with the vegetable dyes, the organic dyes. But because of the boom in textiles, we just switch over to the synthetic dyes. You will be all surprised to know that only 20% of the dye is picked up by the fabric. Suppose we dye this, only 20% of the dye is picked up by this. What about the rest 80%? It just went to the water bodies. As you all know, China is the biggest manufacturer and exporter of textile, and which is followed by India. You can see these are the original pictures, all the fishes dying in the China or India. Around 1,000, this is the statistics, if you see, around 1,000 children die in India every year because of disease caused by the polluted water. This is because of our textile industry. And all the fishes or the synthetic fibers, I always emphasize to use the natural fibers, because synthetic fiber ultimately ends up in ours. Because when we wash it, the fiber are just going in the water bodies, in the washing process. And those fibers are consumed by the fishes. And when we eat that fish, it is ultimately in our body. Because of that, many diseases which we suffer is because of the textiles. So it's the students who are in the startup programs, or they'll start their own organization, try to work on the natural fibers, because at the end of the story, there will be no pollution harm to the nature. So we developed some textiles which are organic, no dyes. If I talk about the blending of these two, these all are the natural colors. So we try to blend these in the warp and weft, and the end product will be, if you see on the slide, on the last one, we made these kind of stuff out of clubbing the natural color wool. We don't dye anything, so it's all organic. The wool is organic, no dyes, or dyes we used is the organic textile. And we presented this concept to an event which happened in Bangalore, and it was from the China government. So when we exhibit and we developed a range, we developed 20 designs of the natural organic textile. Those were presented in the China event. So the China government took us to China and offered us to start up an organization there in China. But again, we have to come back to Himachal because, all जहाँ हम पैदा होते हैं उसका एक ऋण होता है. So we just came back and we are trying and supplying our traditional designs, all organic, to China. We just signed a MOU that we will provide you the design, but we cannot set up a unit there because we already have a unit here. So these kind of designs is the boom and the new designs which students can also do, or the teachers can also ask the students to dwell on the organic textile, because post-COVID, there is an inclination towards the organic food. Similarly, there is a boom in the textile industry with the organic textiles. Also, when we participated in the Fiji event, we saw that every country, there are some designs which are being lost. In China, you will all be surprised to know there is no handloom industry now. If you want to see a handloom in China, it's just in a museum. So we all are fortunate that NIFT Kangra is here, or the government are taking initiatives so that we have our design conserved. Till now, the government is aware, but China government was not aware about it, and you can see handlooms in museums only. So even in Fiji, we have an interaction with the 12 country participants. They were also saying that many of their handicraft has been just abolished. खत्म हो चुका है सभी कुछ. जैसे आपको पता है तूश का शॉल खत्म हो गया. आपको पता है तूश के बारे में? Tush is a kind of shawl which our ancestors may be having, but हम में से किसी ने नहीं देखा होगा. Reason behind it, the tush is abstracted from a छोटी सी goat या rabbit kind of animal होता है, antelope है, उससे abstract करते थे tush को. Tush was equivalent to pashmina. उसका जो hand feel होता था, इससे soft होता था. उसका color भी ऐसा सा होता था, और I can say इस कलर का रहेगा. तूश के साथ क्या हुआ कि उसका एक तो सॉफ्ट था फाइबर, बट ह्यूमंस ने क्या किया, उसकी लिमिटेड थी तो उसको मारना शुरू कर दिया. अदरवाइज हाउ तूश शॉल वाज मेड, द एंटीलोप यूज्ड टू शेड इट हेयर एंड इट वाज देयर इन द बुशेस. So people used to go and just collect it and make a shawl out of it, either pure or blended with the wool. But with the passage of time, because of the human greed, they start killing the animal. उसको मार के मारना शुरू हो गया, तो वो एक endangered होगा because we had the limited tush present, जो उनकी live species थी. So जब वो उसको मारना ही start हो गया, तो फिर उसको government ने उसको endangered कर दिया, and now tush shawl is banned. So never travel with a tush shawl internationally because it can bring you a mess. अगर उसके पास सर्टिफिकेशन आपके पास नहीं है. So maybe आपको कहीं आपके ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स से तूश का शॉल मिल जाए, but new production of tush has been stopped. Similarly, this kind of stories happen in many countries. उनकी countries में भी जो उनका art form था, बहुत कुछ खत्म हो गया. So we get like we used to do innovations also, and we try to blend different types of fibers. We try blending yak wool with camel wool. Camel wool हमारे इंडिया में भी है, which we buy from Rajasthan region, but again that is very coarse. So we try to import it from Mongolia, and we blend a shawl and made the yak and camel, and which we sent this entry to a National Productivity Council, and we got first award on the Textile Innovation Scheme. We can make the tweeds out of it. The tweed out of it is very soft and very elegant. Next slide, I'll tell you about, I was talking about the documentation. I actually had many students from NIFT Delhi and NIFT Kangra to our organization for the internship project. And I'm really, really very happy that there are professionals who has come to Himachal. It's, Himachal is blessed to have an organization called NIFT, because every year students are being assigned the projects related to the craft documentation. If you write some documents or you write some information while meeting the artisan, that is documented, and our legacy won't be, लाइक ट्वीड पता ही नहीं है कि हिमाचल की है. द सेम थिंग जब आपको सर मैं एक छोटी सी स्टोरी बताती हूँ. निफ्ट दिल्ली के स्टूडेंट्स आए थे, तो वी असाइंड लाइक 2 हैंडलूम्स टू देम. हमने उन्हीं को दे दी कि आप अपने हिसाब से करो. तो इन द मॉर्निंग आवर्स एट अराउंड 6 o'clock दे हैव टू लीव टू दिल्ली. तो वो जो लड़की थी वो 12 बजे तक फैक्ट्री में बैठी रही कि आई नीड टू डेवलप अ सैम्पल, कि मेरे को पर्सनल उसके लिए चाहिए. सो वी वर सो हैप्पी दैट स्टूडेंट्स आर वेरी कीन, वेरी मच इंटरेस्टेड. और उस बच्ची ने एक ही सैम्पल में शी डेवलप 5 to 7 वीव्स. उसने ड्राफ्टिंग लिफ्टिंग चेंज करी. एंड द बेस्ट पार्ट बट आई फेल्ट वॉज, उसने जो वीवर है सबसे पहले उसके लिए स्वीट बॉक्स ले आई ताकि एक ऑपरेशन हो जाए. एंड द वीवर वॉज ऑल्सो वेरी हैप्पी. एंड आई टेल दिस स्टोरी टू एवरी वन that a NIFT girl came and she developed a sample and she sent me one frame out of it. वो मेरी अभी भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में लगा है. तो उसने ड्राफ्टिंग लिफ्टिंग सब कुछ चेंज करके she developed some weave और उसने पूरी रात बना के वो पूरा एक सैम्पल, वो कहती वो मुझे अपने लिए चाहिए बिकॉज दिस इज़ माई फर्स्ट सैम्पल एंड आई प्लेस इट व्हेन आई स्टार्ट माई ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. एंड आई एम वेरी थैंकफुल टू द NIFT टीम. आई मस्ट से परिमिता मैम who invited me for this event, डॉक्टर भंडारी, इन्होंने मुझे पहले भी यहाँ बुलाया है, एंड द डायरेक्टर सर जिनका विजनरी है कि हमें हैंडलूम्स पे ही. और मुझे एक पहले भी कॉल आया था कि वी नीड सम शॉल्स, द ट्रेडिशनल किनोरी शॉल फॉर आवर चीफ गेस्ट एंड एवरीवन. सो दिस इज द विजन दैट द टीचर्स आर एक्चुअली guiding the students that we should go for the traditional handicraft. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for me having here. And even these Kenori mufflers were being presented to the CM of Himachal and the Textile Minister, Mr. Piyush Goyal, when he visited few months back in Himachal in Kullu region. So, any questions if you want to ask? Any questions? Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, yes.
You had shown a bridal shawl of Kinnaur. So that has a central border. So it is woven in 2 pieces. एक में नहीं था, एक में था. So
limitation. So we used to make this width kind of shawl because there were small handlooms, mini handloom, pit looms, but pit looms हमारी history में नहीं है. Pit loom has a problem. It can be there in plains where the temperature is on a, where the temperature is on a higher side. Pit loom is we have to dig a pit. बट अगर हिमाचल के लोग ज़मीन पे बैठ गए तो सबको ठंड लग जाएगी. सो वी डोंट हैव अ पिट लूम्स इन आवर हाउसेज. वी यूजुअली हैव हैंडलूम्स इन आवर हिस्ट्री ऑल्सो, बट उसकी विड्थ इतनी का नहीं होती. तो सर ने ये पूछा कि ये पुराना ट्राइबल शॉल है, राइट? तो ये एक पीस है या वी हैव जस्ट जॉइंड इट? सर आप बताएंगे. आ जाइए, आप देख के बताएं. हाँ बिल्कुल, सर की बात बिल्कुल सही है. पहले ऐसे ही होता था. हाँ जी, नहीं है, सर ने ऐसे देख के बताया. बिकॉज इफ यू सी यहाँ से यहाँ तक, इफ यू सी इट सीम्स लाइक जॉइंड. सर ने बिल्कुल पॉइंट देखा है. इट सीम्ड लाइक जॉइंड टिल हेयर. शायद 2 पीस को जॉइन किया है, बट व्हेन वी सी दिस पार्ट यू कैन सी इट्स जस्ट 1 पीस. सो बी अवेयर ऑफ द शॉल्स. अभी एक नॉर्मल शॉल होता है, उसके साइड पे ये पट्टी को भी ऐड कर दिया जाता है. प्राइसेस उसके आपको यही वाले ले लेंगे, बट अटैच्ड पट्टी इज लेस प्राइस व्हेन वी वीव द डिज़ाइन वर्टिकली. ठीक है जी, वाप साइड पे जब हम वीव करते हैं सो उससे वीविंग चार्जेस बढ़ते हैं, पर अगर अटैच करेंगे तो प्राइसेस डाउन ही होंगे. सो डोंट पे फॉर लाइक जो शॉल सस्ती है उसको ज़्यादा प्राइस मत दें. यू शुड बी अवेयर कि अगर ये यहाँ पे स्टिच होगा तो इसका एज आपको यहाँ दिख जाएगा, ठीक है जी। इसमें ये पूरा वाप एक ही में। थैंक यू फॉर योर क्वेश्चन। नेक्स्ट प्लीज। हाँ जी, अच्छा जी।
They have found all
सॉरी,
being say
लेंगचा,
being,
लेंगचा, यस।
so it is same as this जो इसका आपने दिखाया था कि बहुत सारे स्ट्राइप्स बने हैं
सर
borders बने हैं।
लेंगचा एक्चुअली क्या होता है, लेंगचा का जो डायमेंशन है वो डिफरेंट होती है। इसको मैं आपको बताती हूँ कैसे पहनते हैं। हाफ कर ले, हाफ कर ले। परिम मैम आप ही आ जाएं। सो पीपल यूज टू वेयर इट लाइक दिस। दे हैव अ ट्राइबल ज्वेलरी एंड इन द मैरिज फंक्शन दे जस्ट रैप इट हेयर लाइक दैट। इसके ऊपर वो सिल्वर का बड़ा सा हार पहनते हैं। दिस इज द वे दे वेयर। बट लेंगचा अगेन उसमें भी इतना ही डिज़ाइन होता है, बट उसका साइज छोटा होता है, इफ़ यू हैव सीन। सो दीज आर ऑल स्पेसिफिकली डिज़ाइन शॉल। इसका एक स्टैंडर्ड होगा। सपोज वी इफ़ वी टॉक अबाउट स्टोल्स, the stole size is 28 by 8 inches, which is accepted in international market also. If they talk about stole, it should be in this range. If they talk about shawl, it should be 40 by 84 inches. ठीक है जी। इसी टाइप से if we talk about throws, it should be 50 by 100 inches. It's accepted in international and national market. That उसका एक स्टैंडर्ड होगा। तो लेंगचा अगेन उसका एक साइज इससे थोड़ा छोटा होता उसी टाइप का है जी। थैंक यू। Any more inquiry or question, please? ये नहीं होते थे दाई जी। हाँ, पहले मैंने आपको वही बताया कि 19th सेंचुरी से पहले देवर नो केमिकल डाइज। सो दे यूज टू एब्स्ट्रैक्ट डाइज फ्रॉम द फ्लावर्स। सपोज ये ग्रीन है, दे यूज टू बॉयल इट, टेक द डाई, थोड़ा सा उसमें खट्टा डाल के उसको वो करते थे। एंड इवन द वॉशिंग विच वॉज डन बाय द सोप नट और यू कॉल द रीठा पाउडर, दे यूज टू वॉश इट। एंड इसकी स्टोरेज भी देर वॉज नो फिनाइल, नथिंग। सिमिलरली डाइंग वॉज ऑल्सो, पहले जो डाइंग होती थी दोज वर टोटली नेचुरल डाइज, तभी तो कोई पोल्यूशन भी नहीं था। बट आफ्टर 19th सेंचुरी डाइज वॉज सो मच कॉमन। इफ़ यू टॉक अबाउट, मैं आपको एक छोटा सा इंसिडेंस बताती हूँ जो हमारी हिस्ट्री में है। आपको पता है इजिप्ट के ममीज़ को कंजर्व किया जाता है, पता है ना आपको? पहले जब उनको हम कंजर्व करते थे, वी यूज टू हैव द फैब्रिक विच वॉज इंडियन ओरिजिन। वो था अटैक, वो पैसिफाई हो जाता था। तो इवन इन किन्नौर और द ट्राइबल रीजन आई हैव ट्रैवल्ड, दे सेट फर्स्ट क्लॉथ दे रैप द बेबी विद दिस द टर्मरिक डाइड फैब्रिक। ये अभी भी है जी, तो हमारी हिस्ट्री में ही है ये। और इसका भी हिस्ट्री में अभी तक बुक्स में आ चुका है कि इंडिया से ही ये ओरिजिनेट हुआ है। थैंक यू। एनी मोर क्वेश्चन? No, ma'am. It's a chemical dyed only. Chemical.
No, but isn't that a traditional color scheme which is of Kulu, Kinnaur?
हाँ जी, ये बिल्कुल एक बार आप दिखा
So
देंगे।
if it is a traditional color scheme,
हाँ जी
so how did they get the orange from? Any research
मैम,
on that?
पहले तो ये लेते थे ऑरेंज फ्लावर्स से, जो
Okay.
फ्लावर्स होते थे, मैरीगोल्ड का फ्लावर होता था, उससे लेते थे ये कलर। दिस कलर रिप्रेजेंट द सन।
Okay.
बट जैसे पैसेज टाइम चेंज हुआ, ये कलर्स पहले मैम वो ब्लीड हो जाते थे
I know.
जब वो
But
सेल
ये orange तो natural color में नहीं आता है.
नहीं, दिस इज अ केमिकल कलर, डेफिनेटली
right.
100%
हाँ,
अ केमिकल कलर। पहले जब स्कीम स्टार्ट हुई थी,
Okay.
दे टुक द ऑरेंज फ्रॉम द फ्लावर्स ओनली। मैम उन्होंने फ्लावर्स और मतलब जो उनको सामने समझ आया, पहाड़ में हरा रंग है तो हरा उठा के डाल दिया। बट ये जो ऑरेंज कलर है, दिस इज अ टिपिकल कलर ऑफ किन्नौरी।
Right.
अगर ये कलर इफ आई चेंज इट, मैम शॉल सेल नहीं होता।
है।
एंड व्हेन आई डिड माय इंजीनियरिंग, आई ट्राई कलर्स, मुझे लगता था ये बड़ा ब्राइट है,
Ah.
बट इट्स यू नो, मुझे खुद भी नहीं समझ आता। दो अच्छे शॉल होंगे, पहले ये जाता था बिकॉज इट्स किन्नौरी। पीपल हैव दैट नॉलेज एंड टेस्ट, दे वांट दिस ब्राइट ओनली, इवन इंटरनेशनली। और हैरानी की बात ये कि सर इंडियन स्टूडेंट्स को ज़्यादा नहीं पता, बट इंटरनेशनली जब वो इंक्वायरी डालते हैं, वो कहते हैं वो ऑरेंज कलर ज़्यादा रखना। when they have the customized order, they say me to that कि इसमें ऑरेंज कलर ज़्यादा करना, रेड को कम कर देना। तो मैम दिस इज़ अ केमिकल डाइट। एनी फर्दर क्वेश्चन? सो शुड वी एंड? थैंक यू सो मच। थैंक यू सर।
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was. Am I audible?